Hi, everybody. It's Shelley with 50 Up Health and Beauty. Well, today, as part of my expert series, I have an incredible special guest and someone that I'm truly thrilled to introduce you to. We're here in Los Angeles, and trust me, you are in for a treat. Now, I've had the immense pleasure of knowing this gentleman since the 1970s, and watching his career unfold has been nothing short of spectacular. He's a true dance icon, someone whose work has graced some of the biggest stages in the world. Imagine dancing alongside legends like Diana Ross and bringing her iconic performances to life, or being right there moving with the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson, in that unforgettable Beat It video. Yes, he's done all that and more. In the 80s, he took his incredible talent to Europe, where he became a celebrated choreographer, shaping the dazzling spectacle of the world famous Moulin Rouge for many years. Now he's back in the States, and I am so excited about one of his latest passions, a fantastic new dance class specifically designed for people over 50. And it really proves that age is truly just a number when it comes to the joy of movement. He's a choreographer, a dancer, a legend, and a dear friend. So let's give a warm welcome to the one and only Billy Goodson. Billy, I am so excited to have you here today, and I'm sure that so many people watching this are going to be so impressed. Now, one of the things I've known you, since the 70s, right?
Yeah,
So, I remember you
mid 70s.
coming into Morelandis, doing that over the head stuff, and all the dancers like, who's he?
That
So
was
really,
crazy.
I know it was really good. So I guess a lot of people that don't know you, can you go over a little bit about your career and some of the highlights and how you went down that path of being a dancer?
I'll quickly,
I know you have so
because
about your
I'm
resume is so
old.
long.
Well, I started as a club dancer in Hollywood. I was in Northern California and be a veterinarian, and I was married, and I left Northern California and divorced my wife at a very young age and moved back to Los Angeles. And at 19, went to my first disco, which was called Gino's 2 on Vine and Santa Monica Boulevard.
Oh wow!
And it changed my life. I was never the same, and became a club dancer. And my dance of preference was whacking, although I did some locking and a little bit of popping. And then I met a dancer named Miranda Garrison, and we became a partner team, and we were kind of well known in the city. And one night we went to see Alvin Ailey at the Pantages, and I was like, I wonder if I could do that.
Yeah.
And she was a trained dancer, and I asked her after the concert, I was like, "Do you think I could do that?" And she said, "I think you could, but you're late." Because I was thinking, those guys, they didn't look like they started at 6 or 7 years old. They probably started in their, 11, 12 or something like that, I thought. And she said, "Yeah, but you're late at 19. You need to get to work, but you have the talent." And so I said, "Okay, well, can you give me a list of where I need to go for ballet and jazz and modern?" The next morning, 9 o'clock, I had my hand at the ballet bar at Gene Marinaccios.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of everything. Probably 6 months after that, Tony Basil discovered me at a club called the Paradise Ballroom on Highland between Santa Monica and Melrose. And she said, I hear you're the guy that dances with the girls and dips them and tosses them
Yeah.
around. I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy. And she hired me to be in her show.
Mm-hmm.
David Winters saw me in that show and asked me to be his assistant and lead dancer in Diana Ross's show.
Wow.
So I was with her for 3 years. He then kind of secretly under the table asked me if I could choreograph the show. He was director choreographer. He
Mm-hmm.
said he was a bit too busy directing it, and he knew I also, dabbled in choreography, and
Yeah.
so I did that for him. I was 20, and I was like, heck yeah.
Right.
And that began my choreographic career. She introduced all of us to the Jacksons during the tour, so I knew the family quite well. Michael Peters was one of my mentors, along with Joe Tremaine and Jaime Rogers and many other teachers. But Michael Peters was my soul brother, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he hired me for Beat It, and that was the first time I worked with Michael Jackson, and that was a wild ride because it was not only working with Michael Jackson, but it was also the being on the wave of MTV,
Right. Right.
which was changing pop culture.
Exactly.
So you had these two entities happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through the whole period of the 80s and doing, I got lucky because I got the end of the 70s with variety shows.
Right.
And then MTV kind of swept them off the map. Then I got the 80s with music videos. During the 80s, I created a fitness program called Cardio Funk.
I remember that.
You were there.
I was there.
We were there sweating together.
I was.
Because I was taking high impact aerobic and it was killing me.
Mm-hmm.
It was killing my body. And I had taken some low impact aerobics and I was like, I just thought, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah.
But at that time, I just felt it was lame.
Mm.
I was like, it was just kind of like Broadway, and I couldn't figure out what it was, but it just seemed kind of silly.
Yeah.
And I got together with a friend of mine, Karen Voigt, and we had a powwow, and I was like, I'm interested in creating a program that combines hip hop and low impact aerobics.
Mm-hmm.
And she was excited about it. And I was working at her and her husband, Henry Siegel's studio.
I remember you had to be there at 8:30 in the morning to sign up for your class.
You did.
And I got there, and yeah.
It became a scene.
It was a scene.
For 3 or 4 years, it was a scene.
And anybody in LA was in that class.
Yeah. Something I think about, it was also during the AIDS epidemic.
Right.
And people really needed some kind of release. People needed therapy. People needed help. People needed community. People needed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And this was something that was safe. There was one woman that came from London, and she was taking class, and she was a journalist. She went back and wrote, "It's better than drugs." So many people came back and said that they had stopped going to their therapy.
Yeah.
Because this class was providing something for them that was allowing them to not need necessarily that other kind of therapy.
Right.
So Cardio Funk was an incredible part of my journey.
Mm-hmm.
In the 80s, I went to Europe and to Italy for the first time. And
now, when you went to Italy, could you speak Italian then, or did you just learn on the fly?
I learned on the fly, and then I fell in love. And my partner did not speak any English. And I knew I had to be proactive in this. So I
Yeah.
learned Italian very, very quickly, and it really helped not only in my relationship, but it helped my work.
Right.
Because there were a few of us choreographers, and suddenly my numbers started looking a lot better than the other choreographers
Mm,
because I could communicate.
right.
But while I was there, we had stars coming in, international stars, every 2 weeks. And for 1 2 week period, the star of the Moulin Rouge came, this beautiful woman named Debbie de Coudreau. And we had a wonderful 2 weeks together. And at the end of it, she called the Moulin Rouge and said, somebody get down here and give this young man a contract because he's doing some shit down here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what they did. And they came
Fabulous.
down and hired me in 1987. And I have been their choreographer ever since.
Wow.
For the past 40 something years. And that kind of started my love affair with Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I moved to Europe for 30 some odd years, kind of came back and forth. Um,
I always thought that was so brave of you. And I always admired you for that. I thought, what kind of, stamina must you have to go to a country, learn the language, and just meld into their community.
Well, it was Europe.
I know, but fabulous.
I mean, the there's a romantic side of mine that, I mean, Europe held such a fantasy for me and is so old. We're so young here in America, and everything is kind of spit out and discarded so quickly, that when I went over there, they still had variety shows. You could do a show where there was a live orchestra and there were singers and comedians and dancers and actors and
Wow.
all of these artists, real artists.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is what I was trained to do. This is what I love to do. This still exists in the world, whereas in America, it didn't exist anymore, unless, of course, you were in New York on Broadway or doing something similar.
Right.
In LA, it didn't exist.
Right.
Well,
I think once disco came in, because they started having, instead of live musicians,
sure,
right, they went to tape.
Sure.
And that eliminated a big group of artists.
Most definitely.
Right.
Most definitely.
And live performance.
Yeah.
So I get that.
I mean, technology, I mean, just like what we're going through right now
with AI,
happened, then in the industry.
Right.
So I had I had a big career in Vegas for a while and worked there. Dance has taken me all over the world, from Africa to Australia, New Zealand, Japan, China. And then during COVID, my mother, who was probably in her early 90s, fell ill. And I had been going through this on and off for decades with her. When she would get ill, just having to deal with it from hundreds of miles away,
right,
or thousands of miles away, I just realized I'm done. And I moved back probably almost a year into COVID. And she and I had almost 3 incredibly fabulous years together.
Yeah, that's so wonderful.
And she passed at 95.
Mine
2 years
too.
ago. Really?
Because Mom, when COVID hit, my mom got a stroke. It started in March, and mid-March, Mom had a stroke, and that was the beginning of the end. By the end of the year, she passed, and she was 95.
Bless her heart. Well, both our moms.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like my mom, she died of wear and tear. She wore this life out.
Yeah.
I mean, she had a wonderful, wonderful life. I mean, she stopped working at 87. I mean, she was just full of life, her whole life. But to this day, the best decision I ever made in my life was moving home and spending 3 years together, where we really became friends. So, ever since then, it's been kind of the past 2 years has been kind of reimagining my life,
Mm-hmm.
not only without her, but also my career, and what that looks like. I've been very excited about working. I've worked my whole career with young people, but now I'm working much more with seniors and mature adults,
Right.
and loving the hell out of it.
Well, that seems like a perfect transition from everything that you talked about in Europe, that you experienced older people that were coming in. And then, there's a lot of people that you probably danced with as a young person, like I'm older myself, that you knew me. I
Yeah.
wasn't obviously in the same league as you were, but the great thing is you run in all these people and I know that person, I know
Oh
that
God, yeah.
person. And now we're all older, but we're not done yet.
No, it's, I mean, what's happening now is I teach several times a week, we call it an over class.
Oh, that's
Um,
nice.
so for grown folks,
Mm-hmm.
and
Now, are any of these people, are they all ex-dancers or are some of them beginners or somebody that really hasn't been exposed to dance?
interesting you should ask. These particular classes are, it's kind of like a slow intermediate class. So everyone has had dance experience.
Okay.
Some people were huge professional dancers,
Mm-hmm.
huge stars back in
Mm-hmm.
the day. Many of them were my idols that are now my students
Wow.
from Sandal Bergman on.
How fabulous,
Yeah,
right? How
really, really
fabulous.
incredible. I
Right.
mean, I can't believe sometimes I walk into the room, and I can't believe who's in the room.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I'm working with a nonprofit right now, called Dance and Dialogue, and we have been experimenting with a program called the Watering Hole, and we've been doing workshops for um, mature adults, seniors, for people with absolutely no dance experience
Mm-hmm.
or with dance experience. Everyone is welcome.
Right.
Um, to huge success.
Fabulous.
Really. I mean, we had the first one last year, and I must say, when the director first approached me about participating, I kind of put it on a back burner. I
Mm-hmm.
was doing many other things, and as it got closer, I can't tell you exactly why, but it became really, really important to me for me to create not only something special, but something different that couldn't be a dance class, that needed to be a movement experience, because it needed to be able to reach someone who had no dance experience
Mm-hmm.
and a dance professional.
Right.
How do you do that? How do you create something that,
Well, you know what I think you're really good at, though, is you're really good at creating a community. Besides being talented and a great teacher, but one of the things is everybody is one during your class, and that
well,
keeps
thank you for that.
people coming back.
Thank you. Thank you. That is important.
Community is a big
And
deal.
and it's one thing that I do recognize,
Mm-hmm.
because I've always been not only a team player, but when I played sports, my favorite sports were team sports. I love baseball, I love football,
Mm-hmm.
I love being in a team. I love that about dance, the community aspect of it, the camaraderie. Um, so this class that we had, um, we even had chairs along the side, because some people, we realize, you might want to do the class sitting down,
Right.
you might stand and then need to sit,
Mm-hmm.
depending on wherever you are in your physical space today. I wanted to create a safe space for everybody.
Right.
Some people told me when they got there, I might need to sit during class.
Mm-hmm.
absolutely fine. That's why we have these chairs. Some people told me I might not make it all the way through class. That's fine. You do you.
Right.
It's all okay. Not only did everyone stay, no one sat. Everyone afterwards asked me, "Where do you teach this class regularly?"
Fabulous.
There were tears, there were smiles, and there was that sense of community. Because I think as mature adults, what happens when you get older is, I think in your life, we think of empty nesting happening like when your kids leave the house and go to college.
Right.
But I think that happens several times in a person's life. And even as a senior, there's empty nesting when you begin to lose your peers.
Exactly.
There's empty nesting when you begin to lose, when you lose your husband or your wife,
or when you lose your physical ability.
Yeah,
all of
loss
that
in general.
Right. Right.
So as a mature person, community becomes so important. So I think that dance in general, any kind of dance, is so important, for so many reasons.
Well, if you had, because I've had people come up and ask me this, and they go, "Oh, I've never done that, and I'm scared to get up in front of somebody." What would you say to like a total beginner about coming into a class? How would you tell them to approach it? I mean, I would say be fearless. Who cares in the scheme of things? But
I would say it's much more fun in the party than outside watching the party.
Exactly. That's great. That's a great answer, right?
Right. I mean, even if you're sitting down, because I mean, one of my specialties, and you know this about me, is music.
Right. Oh my God, great music.
And
always.
and I know if it's from jazz to R&B to country to whatever it is,
right.
I'm going to try and play it all so that you have something that you can connect to and clap your hands and remember when you were that age, when that song happened.
Right.
And that can bring a certain amount of pleasure and joy to you that even if you're sitting down,
you can relate to.
That's positivity right there.
Right.
Just feeling good is positive. So I'm not asking people to become, I'm going to say a name that people won't know, to become Baryshnikov in one day. He's a famous ballet dancer. It can happen in baby steps.
Right.
You do it at your time.
Right.
But if that just means you just swaying to the music,
ability to swing.
Ability to swing. Ability to sway. If you do it sitting, whatever it is, it's okay. There's there's no when you get older, there's, particularly in the classes that I try to teach now, there's no more, there's no more competition. You're not trying to look good for anybody. You're not trying to compete with anybody for anything, for the cute boy or for, recognition or for that job.
Right.
We've all done that. We've all surpassed that moment. So it's about you.
Right.
It's all about you. So do it for you.
Well, do you see, that, I mean, there's so much information. There's a lot of clinical evidence about the benefits of dance. And part of that has to do with memorizing the choreography, because they're saying that that really helps with patients maybe that are losing their memory or having the beginnings of dementia.
Definitely.
Do you see those kind of improvements?
Yes. I think, for almost all of us, because many people that come back to dance class, particularly in class with ex-professionals, the thing that takes the longest for us is this.
Yes.
Not our physical body, because a lot of people have stayed in shape, they've done Pilates, they've gone to the gym, they run, they walk, they do something. But this muscle, we have not been exercising.
Right.
So the class, the work that we do to the right, to the left, memorizing sequences, taking direction, all of it is healthy brain work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, again, it might not be perfect the first day.
Right.
But if you just keep working that muscle,
right,
if you keep engaging
and your
that
brain
instrument,
coordination
yes,
memory, yes,
it's really, really very important.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody comes back with the same feedback that dance has been so good for everything else in my life,
right,
because of what, I can remember names that, 6 months ago I couldn't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't remember
Mm-hmm.
things. My hand-eye coordination is so much better now.
Exactly.
My balance is so much better now.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those things that begin to slip away from us with age, I want to say dance, but in general, physical activity,
right,
can help. But dance has special benefits, because I think dance can also bring us a certain amount of joy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think joy has special endorphins.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. That explode inside us. Pleasure endorphins,
right,
that are positive. And I think maybe when we get older, we experience less of that.
Well, there are psychiatrists that work with patients that are depressed, and they might make them go on a treadmill because doing physical activity reduces or increases endorphins and improves their mood. So you're absolutely right. So what you're seeing is like right on.
Yeah, and for example, I think the same thing is, with elderly people, animals,
Oh yeah,
because animals bring you pleasure. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
so I mean, there are a lot of different layers to, particularly I think, to what dance can bring, because there's physical exercise, there's balance skills, cognitive,
and balance is really an
balance is
issue
really
that
an
starts
issue.
to decline as you get older.
Yes, but then also the joy aspect of it, music, community. Um, Most of the people that take my class, they refer to it, and this is not from me. They have coined this name. They call it church.
Yeah.
And it is that for us, something special happens, and everyone leaves all of,
Relaxed.
yeah, you kind of leave whatever stress you have outside, and for an hour and a half, 2 hours, there is this community, this joyfulness, this sharing, this um, uh, camaraderie, and rooting each other on, being each other's cheerleaders,
Right.
Supporting each other, um, which is not only good for the person that is being supported, but it's also good for you.
Right, because you're giving.
Because you're giving.
Right.
Well,
I know that you've gone through this recently because you had some hip surgery done.
Yes.
And I know for a lot of older people, they're all going through that something similar. So I think sometimes if they would approach dance, they might say, well, what about my joint health? I mean, how do you think about that when you're teaching older people?
Well, I think again, I I think I think we have to approach everything with the body that we have today. We have to be realistic about what we're working with
Mm-hmm.
and what our conditions are, and whether it's arthritis or whether it's injury. Um, but at the same time, understand that there is a movement that is possible.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be able to kick up to here, but just
Make it your own.
make it your own.
Right,
This movement is possible.
right,
Maybe I can't do that,
right.
but I can do that. I can still find that movement.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear that part in the music, everyone else is doing this big movement, and I'm going to do this little small movement because that's what what my body is allowing me to do.
Right.
There's no problem with that. And then slowly allowing yourself the time and the space. Oh, slowly I'm finding more range of motion.
Right.
Not forcing, not pushing like we did when we were young.
Mm-hmm.
That's not smart. We got to be intelligent.
Right. Right.
Because I see also some people our age who struggle with accepting
Mm-hmm.
our physicality at the age we are now because we want to be what we were.
Right.
And that is a recipe
Disaster.
for disaster. And it just doesn't make sense. Um, we are all part of a design, and there is beauty. I'm 68. There is beauty in being 68.
Right.
There are plenty of things that I can do today. There are plenty of qualities that I have today that I didn't have when I was 28.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that have to do more with quality and not with quantity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you kind of have to have a conversation with yourself and kind of reflect on, what am I thinking about? Why do I feel the need to
Push.
to push?
Right. And I don't know if you saw this. I saw it many times in the gym, and even with young people, they may lift and they go too heavy, and they're jamming, and you go, "This is an injury waiting to happen."
Yeah,
Because their form is so poor.
yeah, and that's one thing when you're young, but when you're our age and you're in that state of mind,
Right.
that injury is going to be much, much worse.
I agree. I agree.
So being not working harder but working smarter, I think is definitely the way to go. And listening to your body,
Hmm.
and respecting it, um, and knowing when it says enough is enough. Okay,
Right.
enough is enough. All right.
So, what words of wisdom, like for somebody, we live in a metropolitan area, but maybe people in middle America that might say, oh, that sounds great. I'd love to do it. How would maybe you advise them to go about trying to find someone to help teach them or a class of some sort? I
Go.
mean, now the dance community has totally changed than in the 70s, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's so much dance out there. I mean, whether it's, any kind of social dancing, I'm a fan.
Right.
whether it be line dance, country dance, salsa, tango, Lindy. I think it's fabulous.
Okay.
There are now many older, mature ballet classes.
Yes. Right.
There are many lower level, slow stretch classes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we make up a big part of the population, and there are more people like us that are trying to fill that gap
Right.
around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness.
Right.
So, if you do a bit of research, I'm sure you can find um, and it might be at a community center. It might be at a
College.
At a
A junior
college, a
college.
junior college.
Mm-hmm.
It might be at a retirement home. It might
Right.
be
Any of those things.
any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So being kind of open.
Because that's one of the things I really wanted to stress in not only your interview, but in other people as well. For the people out there that maybe haven't exercised, maybe they think, oh, my options are an elliptical, or I have to go run. I can't run out on concrete. Or I have to do a really slow yoga class, which that doesn't appeal to me. But my point is, there are so many different kinds of exercise out there for you to choose from.
Yes.
And try them and find one that you love, because if you love it,
yes.
you will come back, and you will come and you'll find your community.
Find your passion.
Right.
And you'll find a lot of other people who have the same passion.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's passion in the room, that's a special thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, Billy, I thank you so much for coming and letting
My
me
pleasure.
talk to you today.
Always a pleasure. It's good to see you,
Yes, it's
Shelley.
good to see you too, and you look terrific.
Thank you, you too, darling. Thank
Have
you.
a great day.
Thank you.
If you're in North Hollywood or Los Angeles, this is where Billy can be found. And don't forget to subscribe.